Welcome back, guys, to CFL Central, CFL content for the fans, by the fans. And we have our review here of Week 19 of CFL action. And me and Rick had a little bit of a time confusion on when we were going to be recording this. So how did we solve that problem? By recording at 1 a.m. Central and 2 a.m. Eastern. Isn't that right, Rick?
Somewhat, yeah.
That's how we solve problems, by recording later than we ever should. But that's okay. We got...
Nothing. I'll just keep... Nothing.
It was also known as, Rick was about to say, or Carter delay because he had to do schoolwork, which is true, and that's fine. But we got four interesting games here, and we have to start off, Rick, with the Factory of Sadness. That is the so was this this you guys got Scott Milanovic back for this game. 33-30 loss to the Hamilton Ticats to the BC Lions.
This is what happens when you kick a field goal with like 30 seconds left.
Was it even 30 seconds left, or was it less than that?
It was less than that, but we could have had a touchdown earlier in the game had we not had a fucking holding penalty.
So am I hearing that penalties are back on the chopping
what's
block
costing us games? Yes.
For the Ticats. Well, you guys have shot yourselves a lot in the foot in that regard. And I mean, like, if we're going to talk about a reason why Hamilton lost that game, you guys put up a dud, 0 first quarter. I don't think you should ever go a quarter in football where you're not able to produce anything offensively. And they just weren't able to get it done. I mean, even Sean White, at least the Lions, putting up a field goal there. Sean White with a 46-yarder. Overall, though, if we're looking at the stats, yeah, I mean, on the Lions side of things, if we take a look here, Vernon Adams Jr. goes 21 for 30, gets 296 yards on the night, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, so solid game for him. Dane Evans would go in as well. A little bit of time, not very much. He would go 4 for 4, though, 42 yards, 10.5 average. So not bad for the short amount of time spent in there. It's one of those things where for the Lions, surprisingly little amount on the rushing game. Not that the Lions have been known for their rushing game specifically as opposed to their passing game. But, I mean, like, Hardy was leading the charge in the rushing department and only got 26 yards on 8 rushes. So an average of 3.3. Couldn't really run the ball against the Ticats. Ticats, though, were able to cause some problems for the BC Lions. And so, good for them in that regard. Surprisingly, no receivers cracking 100 yards there on the Lions side of things. But we would see that on the Ticats side of things as Tim White would go 112 yards, 2 touchdowns for Tim White. So good game for him. But how did you feel about the combination of Bo Levi Mitchell and Matthew Schultz in this game?
I mean, considering that neither quarterback threw an interception.
I have on mine, it says that Mitchell did.
Are you going by the score?
I'm on the score, so maybe that's not accurate, but...
Well, because I'm going by CFL.ca, and we did not throw an interception.
Then again, the CFL never updates their freaking app. It's funny, because before, I don't even think they have a CFL app anymore, because they had the CFL app before, but they never updated it, and I was like, what the hell?
So, both... Because
I have 1 touchdown for Schultz. I have 2 touchdowns for Bo Levi Mitchell, and 1 interception for Bo Levi Mitchell. That's what I have.
I mean, unless it got called back...
Either way, I don't think it really changes much of anything.
But, I mean, either quarterback only missed 5 passes each.
Yep. I think realistically, you probably want, I'd say, a few more completions out of that, because we're looking at, like, if we're looking, so they both threw for 19 attempts. I think you're looking a little bit more for a little above 75%. In that department, a little bit of nitpicking. We're able to get more success running the ball, though. James Butler able to get 67 yards. Nothing like crazy per se for him, but good nonetheless. Schultz on only 3 rushes got 26 yards. So good rushing game for Matthew Schultz, as we've seen him kind of build on that, whether that was that game in Saskatchewan where he decided to absolutely fucking tank someone, or in this game where he was able to put up a solid performance. Godwin would get himself a touchdown as well on the receiving side of things. And Mark Legia would go 3 for 3. So what was the problem here for the Ticats?
Yeah, to be honest, I mean, our defense was there. I don't know. I mean, until they got the last second field goal at like 1 second left, because I mean, Dane Evans threw it with like 4 seconds left, and then they were fighting that there was no time on the clock when there was time on the clock, and on the score sheet it says 0-0, but you can't end it on 0-0, so it's like, oh, we have 1 second left, let's go kick the field goal. Could have went into overtime, but
and one thing I will say about this game for the Ticats, win, lose, or draw, you guys had a really good pass rush. I mean, the amount of I think you guys got like 3 sacks in just the first quarter, something like that. If memory serves from when I was watching the game, but
yes.
Overall, I would not say a weak performance by the Ticats, despite falling 33-30 in the first game of the week. But if we get into the second game of the week, we had definitely the most important game out of the 4 games that we have this week. The Saskatchewan Roughriders fall 26-19 to the Calgary Stampeders. And that is because the Saskatchewan Roughriders have forgot how to win football games. The Saskatchewan Roughriders, I believe, are now on a 6-game losing stint or something like it's like 5, 6. It's brutal. It's not good.
Something like that.
It is ugly. And we are just watching the total and utter collapse of a team, kind of like the Winnipeg Jets versus LA Kings tonight. But we're not going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about the Saskatchewan Roughriders here and the Calgary Stampeders. So Jake Dolegala would go 23 for 33, 272 yards, average of 8.2, 1 interception, no touchdown. So not what you're hoping for out of him. Jake Mayer would go 17 for 29. I'm surprised the Calgary Stampeders did not decide to throw the ball 1,000 times a game. That's very unusual for them. Would go 1 touchdown, no interceptions, though. Kadeem Carey would get 32 yards rushing for the Stampeders, which honestly I wouldn't be surprised would be a season high considering they literally don't throw the ball. But I mean, it seemed like they were at least sharing it around in the receiving department. But I mean, like, not even cracking 50 yards for your top receiver for the Stamps. Like, it's kind of a miracle that the Stamps won this game. And it was simply because they got so many defensive points defensively. The Stampeders in this game. So now Calgary has the tiebreaker between the two. If Saskatchewan loses their last game, then Calgary needs to beat either BC or Winnipeg. If they win one of those games, they get in. If Saskatchewan wins, Calgary needs to win both of those games, which is just not going to happen. They might be able to pull out one, though. So what are your thoughts on, I guess, the situation here with the Stamps and the Riders?
Or BC and Winnipeg can just fuck Saskatchewan over and just tie both games, and then they can get 2 single points in Saskatchewan. Because then you're technically not losing.
Yeah, because you think the Bombers and Lions will come to an agreement. Get all the NFL script writers together. Just get them in together.
I knew Saskatchewan wasn't going to win this because Jake Dolegala will get the yards, but he doesn't throw many touchdowns.
No, that's fair. Yeah, it's just one of those things where just that shine on him has worn off. It's kind of similar to the Dustin Crum situation. I think Dolegala is better than Dustin Crum. I also think Dolegala has gotten a little bit more to work with, whether it's Bain Jr. or MLS or Morrow or Schaefer Baker. In that regard, a good game for Bain Jr. over 100 yards for him. But it's one of those things where, like, I have to imagine that like similar to a Chargers game, there's got to be like some sort of infighting here because sorry, I had to say that because you sent me that clip of the Chargers earlier, like
fans fighting,
going to town. No, because it's one of those things where it's like from what it sounds like after this season, Saskatchewan is going like house cleaning, and head coach, GM, out with the old, in with the new, which is honestly what needs to happen. It's one of those things where, like, there will be times where players aren't playing the way they need to win, but it's your job as a coach to be able to motivate these guys to play in front of you. Like, if you talk to any Bomber, like, half of them, I swear to God, would take a fucking bullet for Coach Osh. And so it's one of those things where it's like, would anyone take a bullet for Dickinson? I want to know, because it doesn't seem like anyone would, because they're like 0-5 in the last 5 games. So what's going on?
I have a question for you before we move on to our next game. So, who is the Ottawa of the West? Would you say it's Saskatchewan, or would you say it's Edmonton?
I'd say it was Edmonton, and it's now Saskatchewan. I'd say at the start of the year, it was Edmonton. At the end of the year, it's absolutely Saskatchewan, because it's one of those things where Edmonton at least figured their shit out. And even though they're not going to be making the playoffs or anything like that, they have a direction for next season. The only direction that Saskatchewan has is, let's take this team and blow it the fuck up. That's the direction. Their direction is blow up the team. And so, and just try to build something new. And so it's one of those things where, like, and because I mean that's the boat that the Ottawa Redblacks are on, so that's kind of why I draw that comparison. But it's one of those things where like even if I'm looking at the kicking side of things, and this is just a fun novelty of this game. So Mescal's kicking for Saskatchewan, because Lothar has missed so many damn kicks that they're not having him in anymore. He goes 4 for 4. His longest is 15 yards.
Shut up.
Wait, no, that's got to be wrong, because it says 15. Yeah, it says 15 on here, but then when I go to matchup, yeah, okay, no, that's bullshit. So the score app is wrong.
43.
Because if you go to the scoring summary, 34 yards, 38 yards, 43 yards, 31 yards. Yeah, I don't even know where it gets 15 from. He didn't even have a kick that was 15. Whoever does the score app, fix your app. Jesus Christ. I will say some other solid returns for Mario Alford, which is not too surprising, but it's one of those things where this is just, it's not. I don't even know what to say about this team anymore. What, is there nothing you have to say about this team anymore? No, it's just too much. It's too much of a shitstorm. Too much of a dumpster fire to deal with.
Dumpster fire and shitstorm's not the word.
It's not the word?
No.
What's the word?
I don't know. It's definitely not that, though.
Why is that offensive to dumpster fires?
that franchise can't be helped whatsoever.
Well, you know what I will say? You know what? Win, lose, or draw, people show up to those damn games. So suck it, Toronto. But our next game of the week is the Montreal Alouettes versus the Edmonton Elks. So Alouettes win by a score of 35-21. Elks put up a nice fight here. So overall solid. One of those things, though, like Alouettes, it's funny. The first, third, and fourth quarter, they don't do much. Edmonton not able to score a point in the second half of this game. Not good. 23 points in the second quarter for the Alouettes. So very, very strong. That's the thing, because the Alouettes really got the vast majority of their points in the first half of this game, and they just kind of rode that out. And the fact that they were able to hold Edmonton to nothing was really what got them. So what were your opinions here on this game?
When I was out doing my shopping during the weekend,
yep,
and I seen that Edmonton was winning 21-3 over Montreal, I'm thinking, this ain't right. Like, there's something wrong. The score app wasn't updating. Like, what the hell? And then I get home to make my food and whatnot, and then I seen 26-21 at half. I'm like, what the hell? And then I seen 35-21. I'm like, what the heck is going on? Keep in mind, Fajardo only had one touchdown. Yeah. He is like a Jake Dalagala. He does not score points. If Montreal is going to get far in the playoffs, it's not going to be their offense. It's going to be their defense.
It's not going to. Well, I will if it's going to be their defense, but it's one of those things where I find when it comes to their touchdowns, the vast majority of the touchdowns they get are rushing. So it really shows that Montreal is either fearful or they're simply not able to make those red zone plays into the end zone. In the passing department,
or they don't trust Fajardo.
So it's either a fact of they don't trust Fajardo, or Fajardo's not able to get it done, or maybe both. But it's one of those things where, they got 4 rushing touchdowns, or not? No, that's not 4 rushing touchdowns. That's a different stat. I misread that. Yeah, no. This was the game where where the defense kept getting everything, right?
Yeah, they had an interception, they had a fumble recovery. So I mean, if you take out those 2 defensive touchdowns, Montreal doesn't win this game.
Yeah, no, because I mean, if I'm looking here, they got 1, 2, 3, 4 sacks, 2 for Johnson, 1 for Ugok, and then 1 for Beverett. So it's kind of funny talking about the Alouettes and talking about them getting sacks and Fajardo not getting sacked, as that's kind of a topic that we've had for a while. But I mean, if we're looking on the Elk side of things, good, some decent defense. They had an interception for Franklin Jr., and then AC Leonard was able to get us a sack as well. Jones leading the way in the with tackles though with 7. As well as Franklin Jr. with 7 tackles. They had Edmonton played 4 different punt returners.
I guess whatever you gotta do.
Cobb, Moore, Purifoy. Fuck it. Everyone give it a whirl. See what works.
I guess whatever you gotta do, you gotta do.
Yeah, I mean, overall, though, there's not a whole lot I have to say about this game. I mean, Edmonton at this point just kind of playing for pride. Seeing if they can get a win at home, just for the fun of the fans. And then the Alouettes,
shits and giggles,
with their win and with actually, it didn't even matter at this point because by the time Hamilton lost, that meant that Montreal had then sealed the Eastern semifinal. But yeah, with the win and loss, so with the loss for the Ticats and the win for the Alouettes, home field advantage for the East semifinal will be in Montreal, but we got one more game left this week, and
I just want to throw out a comment.
Yep.
Did anyone make a call to Ottawa because I think they forgot their offensive line in Ottawa? 9 sacks.
Did they actually give up 9 sacks?
9 sacks.
40-27 victory. For the Toronto Argonauts. I was not able to watch this game. I was busy. However, it seems like there was some problems here for the Redblacks. Although I gotta say, I'm surprised they had Pigram throwing, just because Pigram, again, he's someone I expect as a rusher. I mean, in terms of a rushing quarterback, getting that short yardage.
I mean, when Crum can't get the job done. I mean, you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, well, it's one of those things where if Ottawa is ever able to develop Terrell Pigram's throwing game and get it into something consistent, that could actually be a really solid option at quarterback. As rushing-wise, he's been able to do quite extraordinary. I mean, even just in this game alone, only 2 rushes, got 12 yards out of that. Kind of reminds me a lot of a Dakota Prukop in that regard. Not quite as good passing as Dakota Prukop, which is why the Bombers decided to drop Pigram when Prukop came available for the United States Football League, soon to become the United Football League, from what I'm hearing, along with the XFL. But overall, it was one of those things where it's kind of funny because if we're looking here, Williams go 125 rushing yards for the Red Blacks. I cannot tell you the last time I saw a Red Blacks running back get 125 rushing yards.
Let's see.
I don't even know if it's happened this season.
Oh, it's happened a few times this season.
Has it? Maybe
yes, it has.
You know what it was? It's probably when Crum really started playing well. And he had kind of that really good stint where he was nice and shiny. You know what I mean?
Let me
shiny
go here.
141 receiving yards for Daniels on the Argonaut side of things.
So here, while I look this up, here's the funny aspect about this is going through all of the stats and everything for Ottawa. Or for Toronto, sorry. So the last time Williams had over 100-yard game was Week 16 against Saskatchewan, where he had 136 yards.
Oh, okay, so I actually did crack it. I wasn't sure just because, I mean, the Red Blacks have really been sliding. But it's one of those things where, like, Red Blacks needed a direction. They needed a direction, and they were able to put up 27 points, so that's something.
Where I was going with my point was I seen a lot of Argo fans on social media bringing up the whole quarterback controversy between Cameron Dukes and Chad Kelly now. With apparently people are saying that Cameron Dukes did very well, that he's now Ryan Dinwiddie has a hard time with the quarterbacks now because some Argo fans say that that Dukes can start now. Some are saying that Chad Kelly's the starter.
Wait, are you talking for the rest of the season or come playoffs?
That's all I've seen on social media.
I'm gonna assume they mean rest of the season. I'm gonna assume they mean they're cool with Duke starting the rest of the season. And if I'm an Argos fan, if I was an Argos fan, why not? Dukes has done well, a lot better than expected. And so sure, I'd say that's fine. Give him some exposure, keep Chad Kelly safe. But in terms of starting come playoff time, no. Chad Kelly's got to be the starter, especially since how can you have a guy like that would be like me saying Drew Brown needs to start for the West Final for Winnipeg. Oh, by the way, I think Zach Collaros deserves the MOP. That's fucking stupid. Because you can't say someone deserves the MOP and then say the backup should start over him in a playoff setting. It doesn't make sense. But it's one of those things where although it's funny because I don't even argue that Zach Collaros should get MOP. I actually argue for Brady Oliveira because that guy is having a season and a half.
So here's two numbers to bring up.
Yep.
So going into, you guys have 2 games left. BC has 1.
That's correct.
So Zach Collaros has 32 touchdowns, 15 interceptions, 1,127 yards passing.
Makes sense, yeah.
Vernon Adams has 31 touchdowns, 17 interceptions, and 4,653 passing yards going into the last game of the season.
Yep.
Then because all East teams this week have a bye week, except for the Argos, the final numbers going into technically the last week of week 21. Dylan Crum leads the league with 56 sacks, and Fajardo is second with 51. So we will not see the 77.
We will not see the 77 broken.
We will not see. But
unless the Red Blacks have how many games left?
They have 2.
They have 2? Unless they give up another 9 sacks in each game.
I mean, don't forget, Fajardo has to go up against the Ticats in the last week of the season.
Ah, I see. Yeah, you guys will be able to sack him at least, 4 or 5 times, at least. Possibly
Hopefully
more. We'll see. But, it's one of those things where if you're the Argos at this point, sit everyone, get ready for playoffs. If you're the Red Blacks, Good God, find players to succeed as a franchise? Like,
the other question is,
yep.
What do you think happens? I know we're going to do this in the preview, but I'm curious to think of what you think the next 2 weeks will end up like.
I think we're going to witness a level of suctitude from Saskatchewan that we still have not prepared for somehow, despite all the losing. And I think that the Stampeders, win, lose, or draw against BC and Winnipeg, they're going to put up very close games in both.
So do you think Saskatchewan will make it, or do you think Calgary will make it?
I think Calgary narrowly sneaks by.
Okay, but now the question is, I say that you guys rest Zach last week against Calgary. Possibly Oliveira too, because I mean, you guys really
I could see that. It's one of those things where I really, when it comes to whether Calgary beats BC or Calgary beats Winnipeg, I kind of don't really
care.
It's not even just that I don't really care. It's that I don't have, like, I think both are equally likely. I don't think one is more likely than the other. But we'll get into that in the preview. But, I mean, overall, I think that's all I got. Is there anything else you got about this Argonauts Red Blacks game and all that?
No.
But, yeah.
Except for the Grey Cups in 3 weeks.
Yes, Grey Cup. Wait, what?
No, sorry. Yeah, 3 weeks, because we have this week. Next week's week
21.
Oh, no, sorry. 4 weeks.
4 weeks. Just 1 month. 4 weeks. 1 month.
1 month.
And then Grey Cup, baby. It's going to be a great time. Got
exactly 1 month tomorrow.
We have a lot of exciting stuff coming on the channel for around then. So make sure you all stay tuned. But yeah, make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe if you have not already. Make sure you guys join the Prairie Puck Podcast Discord down below. We're active in there, as well as other members of the Prairie Puck Podcast, which I am a part of, along with my brother and some friends. It's a great time. We talk sports, we talk life, we talk stupid stuff, we talk smart stuff. Not that much smart stuff in there. So make sure you guys join the discussion. Good stuff going around there. And make sure you guys tune in for next time. Take care.